the desert of the real.
Welcome to the Desert of the Real. I am your host, Ryan Hudson, and joined with me as always is Supreme Leader
Jason Dietz.
The Desert of the Real is a movie podcast where I forced Jason to watch big blockbuster movies that he's refused to watch because he didn't think they were worth his time. We're currently watching Star Wars.
Almost done!
We are two English language arts. We're two English language arts high school teachers with graduate degrees, and we attempt to use our academic training to dig deeply into movies. We explore the creativity, philosophy, film studies, and ethics of our films and push you, the listener, to think critically about your entertainment. Before we begin, we want to thank you for being here.
We do.
Thanks for making us part of your day and giving us your time.
I don't know, it's just why we do this. Knowing that there are people out there that are benefiting and thinking and learning and arguing and objecting to Ryan's idiotic takes.
Not today. Today, I'm going to do something that
has never been done before.
Few have done successfully.
Oh, what's that?
Convince you that you're wrong about The Last Jedi.
If people have good arguments.
You don't know.
Good evidence and good explanations. I'm open to being persuaded.
Here's the fun thing. Jason, he has no idea about this movie's legacy. He does not know the online arguments that have taken place the past, even to this day. I don't know, nearly 10 years. It's been about 8 years, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And Jason had no idea what the movie was, the story. He didn't know anything.
Nothing. See, and we're going to lose all that if we do Lord of the Rings. Well, because I've read all of them. I've seen all the crap.
The difference being is you haven't seen them since 2001,
yeah,
2002,
no, I think we're going to lose an important piece of...
You never saw The Hobbits. That's half the movies there.
Nobody saw The Hobbits.
That's not true, but...
Anyhow.
Okay, so I before we even get into anything, I just have...
Filibuster.
I have to filibust. I was newly married when this movie came out, and it was just my wife and I were living in an apartment near the college campus, whatever. And movies come out Thursday nights, and we were gonna go see it. I had a ticket with my twin brother, bought and ready to go see it Friday in the afternoon. But we were just looking around, and we didn't like to go see movies in the town that the college was in because college kids are annoying. But we were like, oh, let's just. You know what? Whatever. Let's go see it tonight. And we drive down to the other town. We sit down, watch The Last Jedi. And at first, I didn't really like this movie. I was disappointed.
Yeah, me too.
The next viewing, I saw, actually a little bit down the road. It's like, all right, I kind of see where it's coming from. And then later down the road even more, I'm like, okay, I get this movie. I like this movie. But here's the fun thing. So you're
saying if I wait for 10 years, I'll like this movie?
I'm saying that it grew on me. Anyway, I went the next day to see it with my brother. So the funny thing happened, there's that scene where Rey's having her vision in the cave thing. And the sound cut out. But no one knew because it was kind of a scene where it might make sense.
Right.
And I was like, there's supposed to be sound here. Told my brother. And then when they started obviously talking, everyone started freaking out. It's like people ran to go get people and were demanding it to be rewound and stuff, which was a lot of fun. And they did. They actually did rewind and fixed it, which is good because people would have been mad. People are passionate about Star Wars.
They are.
Anyway,
that's true.
So later in the movie, when Holdo does her thing where she shoots into the spaceships and it's it's this really cool looking thing. Yeah, the sound cuts out on purpose there, and the audience was like, "No!" They thought the sound cut out, which is funny because in other theaters in other parts of the country, people complained, people thought the sound cut out, and that there were pictures on Twitter and stuff saying that people put in theaters saying, at 2 hours and so in the movie, the sound cuts out. It is supposed to. But what's funny about what happened to me is, like, it happened on accident first. Yeah. People freaked out. And my brother and I, we went to go to, like, Five Guys after, because it was, like, right there, and to get lunch and talk about the movie and stuff. And our guy who took our order was from Ireland. So he was like, "What you guys?" We was like, "Oh, we just saw The Last Jedi." And this guy, who we've never met, or we don't know at all, very, very loudly is like, "Oh, that island where they filmed Luke's scenes? I've been to that island." And I'm like, it was like the day the movie came out. I was like, "Hey, don't spoil the movie for the other people or whatever," because he was just talking so loud about this island, and he didn't spoil anything, but I was worried about, like, other people there because it's day one. Like, hey, is this guy gonna just talk about The Last Jedi? But no, he's just an Irish guy just talking about being on the island,
being on the
where they
island
filmed
of Luke.
And stuff. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
That is fun.
Anyway, do you know who wrote and directed this film?
I'm assuming a committee.
Rian Johnson wrote this movie and directed this movie. So here is two things. First, Rian Johnson is the only other person to write and direct a Star Wars film. Everyone else, including JJ, wrote it with other people.
So he wrote it by himself?
Yeah, he wrote it by himself.
Oh, well, that supports this then.
So here's the double-edged sword, which is a problem. One, like George Lucas, he's the only other guy who's done it with the prequels and Episode 4. And then two other guys directed Episodes 5 and 6. JJ has other writers with him to write these movies. But Rian Johnson wrote this. So Rian Johnson, as you know, started very small, independent. His first film, Brick, neo-noir, set at a high school with high school students.
Totally know that.
Right.
Absolutely.
He eventually makes one of my personal favorite movies, The Brothers Bloom, with Mark Ruffalo, Adrian Brody, and it's like a caper thing. But then he makes a movie, which gets in this movie, Looper. You saw Looper?
I love Looper.
Time travel, Bruce Willis and stuff. So that's science fiction. And because of that movie, he got the interview to be with like, hey, you want to do the next Star Wars movie? And he said, yeah. And then eventually he goes to make Knives Out.
Oh.
That's the writer and director.
Also.
So here's the thing, which is admittedly the number one problem for this trilogy.
Okay.
So they are making The Force Awakens. Rian Johnson gets the script. He's looking at the dailies. They tell Rian, do whatever you want with this. And so he does. He makes the movie he wants. They had another director-writer for Episode 9, Colin Trevorrow. We'll get to this in the next episode. But that falls apart, and JJ comes back into it. Anyway, so the number one problem with this entire trilogy is there was not a plan for 3 movies. They made one movie.
That makes sense.
And then they made another movie with a different author behind the wheel. And then they had to, like, make the ending of that. So this is, like, unfortunately...
retreading
it's
a lot of territory.
I don't agree with that, but it's a really...
How can you not agree with that?
It's a really big... It's the number one problem. They should have had one person or, come up with the arc for movies 1, 2, and 3. But here we have someone new. Let's do this instead. Let's play with this instead. And then you'll see 9. 9 is what it is, if we're being honest.
So 9's the one that you hate? Okay.
It's
got it.
It's not.
So I'll probably love it.
You'll probably hate it with a burning passion. Because you didn't like this movie. What was your biggest problem with The Force Awakens, Dr. Dietz?
It was a rehash. Right.
So this movie
is also got a lot of rehash.
I strongly
Okay. I can put this to bed right now.
If anything, this movie...
hang on.
Stop. No, let me say it first.
Are you kidding? You've been filibustering.
All right.
Go ahead.
Whatever. Say your thing.
No, go.
No, I want you to say your thing first.
No, it's too late.
Okay, so fans for 2 years have been making predictions, making assumptions. What's going to happen next after The Force Awakens? Because Rogue One came out afterwards. So for 2 years... people are talking, a constant dialogue of who's Rey. What's Rey's parents? Is Rey's dad Obi-Wan Kenobi? Is Rey's dad or Grandpa Qui-Gon Jinn? Is it Luke Skywalker? Is this his daughter?
I thought they were twins.
People are like making predictions. What has Luke been up to? Luke has been training in the sacred, secret Jedi Island where he's going to be so strong he can take down Star Destroyers with his mind. All of this and more. Who's Snoke? Is Snoke Darth Plagueis that Palpatine talked about in the last in the prequels? Anything and everything. And then this movie comes out, and we're about to hear your argument, which I'm eager to hear.
Apparently not.
I tried. This movie, there's one phrase attached to this movie more than any other phrase. It's subverting expectations.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're going to get into
in
all
terms of what
exactly. Fans thought was going to happen, what fans wanted to happen.
Admittedly, Luke Skywalker's character in this is definitely a subversion.
Yeah, we
totally agree with that.
I have a list of maybe the number one complaints about this movie that we're going to get into, but so you think this is rehashing?
No.
The fan base as a large thinks this was a deliberate turn where it in places.
I don't think this is rehashed
good.
entirely. But if you pull the mental camera out just a little ways, it's pretty familiar. It's a pretty familiar arc for a Star Wars story. There are familiar things. So, here, I'm going to just put this to bed.
Okay.
I want you to tell me which Star Wars movie this scene occurs in.
Okay.
So, we have the all-powerful ruler of the bad guys. We have his apprentice. And we have the representative of the good guys who has the most power in the Force. They're in a room together. This all-powerful bad guy wants to convert this representative of the good guys to the dark side. And the apprentice is standing and watching as they banter back and forth, right? At some point, the all-powerful ruler of the dark side people gets upset and starts doing things to the good representative of the good guys, right? Like zapping and, other things like that. The apprentice of the bad guy is just watching this all happen, right? And then the all-powerful ruler shows the good guy on, a screen of some sort. This is what is happening to all of your bestest buddies right now. Ha ha, I set it all up. Ha ha, they're all going to die. Ha ha. Mm-hmm. At which point, the representative of the good guys gets upset and attacks or attempts to attack the all-powerful ruler of the dark side. At which point, the all-powerful ruler of the dark side says, and I think this is verbatim, actually I don't know verbatim, but says, okay, if you won't convert, then you're just going to have to die. And he blizzes something at, and the apprentice of the all-powerful guy is looking and watching, and he's like, yeah, I don't think this is really going to happen. And so it is the apprentice of the all-powerful bad guy who ultimately kills the all-powerful bad guy and saves the representative of the good guys. Which movie is that from?
Is that the Revenge of the Sith? Is that?
There's no way. It is almost shot for shot the same thing from Return of the Jedi and this movie. Almost shot for shot.
Yeah.
So how is that? There is not. That is almost shot for shot exactly the same sequence. The end result is different, admittedly.
Yeah.
But that happens multiple times in this movie where I'm like, okay, so why can't you just make your own thing up? Like, why does it have to be exactly the same sequence, exactly the same shortcomings, exactly the same, like, okay, so, okay, am I good to go?
I guess go for it.
Well, that's all. So I feel like we can put the absurd argument that this movie does not contain rehashed elements to bed at this point. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
No? Or yeah?
Yeah, those things do sound pretty similar.
That is not the word you are looking for. Identical, I think, is the word that you are looking for. There's almost no... Look, I didn't do it, but I bet if you put those side by side on a screen, it is pretty dang close.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Okay, that's one of a very long list of things, but okay, sorry, I did mean to interrupt. I did. I admit it. I'll
Yes,
come
you
clean.
did.
I interrupted. I meant to do it. I did it, and now I turn the filibuster back to you.
Okay, so I do have a lot to say about a lot of things in this movie. Or what do you think was the general reaction to this movie by most people?
I imagine it was quite positive. Like, this movie doesn't have a lot of the flaws that the last one did. It's not a massive rehash. There's definite forward movement. We get another beloved character back.
Yeah.
And the character, unlike Han and unlike Leia, has changed a great deal.
Yeah.
From when we last met him. So I think that's good.
So I want to show you the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Okay.
So critics saw this movie first because that's usually how it works.
Yeah.
Critics come out of the gate. This one's even better than the last one. This one's arguably maybe one of the best Star Wars movies.
Okay.
It has a 91% critics review.
Wow.
91% of critics like it.
That's crazy.
What do you think the audience score is?
Apparently very low.
What do you think it is?
I don't know, 65.
41.
Oh, that's appropriate.
It's appropriate, sure.
I feel
This movie...
split of...
This movie was a civil war.
Wait, so the fans agree with me?
But I don't think for the reasons you're going to say.
Okay.
And I have a list of the biggest grievances
that
I want to address because most of them are wrong. Because my brother-in-laws hate this movie. In fact, if you ask them what's the worst movie they've ever seen, one of them probably will tell you it's this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It is not the worst I've ever seen. But...
To a lot of fans, this movie was an insult. This movie was like rubbing salt on the wound. This movie... Some people will just straight up tell you they don't acknowledge the sequels at all.
Wow.
So, sometimes it's for, Force Awakens will say, what, a girl beat a boy in a lightsaber fight? She never held a lightsaber. That's taken me out of the movie, you know? Whatever, we have to deal with those people. But this movie, literally, fans reacted like their dog was murdered by this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's visceral. People... unfortunately started to attack online some of the actors. The girl who plays Rose, she was unfortunately the target of a lot of hate.
No.
Unjustly, by the way. And people Ryan Johnson had to cut himself out from fans because people were vicious after this movie. They were personally offended and angry at this movie. Timeline-wise, Solo was the next movie.
After this one?
After this one.
Oh.
And I don't know why they did it, but Solo came out in the middle of the summer as opposed to as opposed to December.
We talked about that.
But it was kind of hey, here, Star Wars, you still like Star Wars, right? Here's the next Star Wars one in the middle of summer. I don't know why they didn't do it December. So it's kind of they're trying to clean up. And we'll see. Nothing's confirmed, but how Episode 9 is maybe trying to clean some of that up, which is a mistake. Anyway, I think it all starts with when we get back to Rey and Luke. Which, by the way, this is the first Star Wars which picks up immediately after the next one. Nothing's happened like that before. What was your thought? What did you think Luke was going to do? And then what was your thought when he flips it over his shoulder?
Yeah, I thought that Luke would have had all this time to think about what he did wrong with the first batch. and he recognizes his important role, and he, like, I think I said this when you asked me this last episode, like, he's going to train Rey, and they're going to go and take out the not small at all, by the way, new empire, whatever it's called. You said last episode there are just this small group of neo-Nazi kind, like that. There's no way.
Yeah,
this does not feel like that at all.
The impression is they took out those 5 planets and have put themselves as in charge now.
Oh, so now they're in charge?
They've basically forced themselves
Anyhow,
to be
so to answer your question, I thought he was going to train Rey. They were going to go out and kick butt. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, the general consensus for a lot of fans, even though a lot of people do love this movie, including myself, when Luke throws a lightsaber over his shoulder is the beginning of the end, basically.
Of
their
people loving Star Wars?
Kinda, or at least like the sequels or this movie.
Oh.
Because it's like, I mean, here's the thing. For 2 years, you have to go back.
Right.
Building up this thing, and he throws a lightsaber over his shoulder right away. Not just any lightsaber. This is Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. This is Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. This is the image of Star Wars itself. This is the thing Obi-Wan Kenobi gave to Luke.
Yeah.
Throws it over his shoulder. And some people like, this is Rian Johnson literally mocking Star Wars in our faces type of thing. So I remember being disappointed at first, and I saw an article almost immediately saying, you're disappointed because the movie isn't the movie you made in your head type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I guess that's true. But then again, remember Rian Johnson's mystery boxes? Mm-hmm. J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams had all those mystery boxes. And Ryan was responsible for answering some of those now. And those were not the answers JJ had in mind when he set those mystery boxes up.
Right.
And it's disappointing for a lot of people. Anyway. I love so much about this movie. There are things that I dislike, believe it or not.
And surprisingly enough, I'm exactly the opposite. I dislike a lot of things about this movie, but there are some things, surprisingly, that I like.
I've now spent 7 years of my life defending this thing, where it's like, no, this is why you're wrong.
You still got one more day of it, apparently.
Yeah, I know, but I'm ready, type of thing. Anyway, I guess let's start with Luke. I think besides Luke stepping back from the trilogy aspect of it,
right?
The number one argument and reason people hate this movie is Luke Skywalker. This isn't fair. Luke I love. This isn't Luke from the last time I saw him. Luke would never do yada yada yada.
Yeah, that wasn't my problem with Luke.
See, that's what I mean. That's what's so crazy about all of this. It's like grievances are not what most people would argue about.
So my problem with Luke is that he can't act. Is my problem with Luke. Like, he's supposed to be... Like, I get what he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be this just guy that has collapsed on himself. He feels like he has failed the universe.
Yeah.
He's trying to protect whatever's left of the universe from his failure and his inability to do whatever it is he needs to do. That's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anyone that was able to oversell and undersell what they were supposed to be doing at the same time. But he did it somehow. Like, all of his... Like, just about every line in this movie, it rings false from him. It's the words, like, he oversells the words, but then his body and how he's acting doesn't sell the words. Does that make sense? And so the whole time I'm like, okay, why, like, this... I'm not buying any of this. I'm not buying that you're upset. I'm not buying any of that. You're saying that you are... But I'm not getting it. I'm not feeling it with your body. Not to bring in Lord of the Rings, but there's no...
Our next series, by the way.
There's no Gollum-ness here. Gollum is magnificent. That's the one shining thing in there. That's kind of what he should have been. He is like, my precious, like, I had these people. They were going to be the next generation. I messed it up. I lost them. I can't handle the loss. I'm crumbling and disintegrating into myself. He's been on this freaking island by himself for what? 4 decades? Something like that?
He did the thing to Ben, yeah. I don't know how long it's been.
I mean, how can he... Anyhow.
So, okay.
So it was just like they got some guy off the street and said, "You're Luke Skywalker.
Oh, maybe.
Sell it."
I told you this before we recorded. This, in my opinion, is Mark Hamill's best performance.
Which to me means that he was the main characters in Trolls 2 for the most of his career.
Well, after being in Star Wars, he was mostly a voice actor guy. Like, do you know he was like Joker in the animated series?
I have literally seen nothing else of him.
Well, that's why his career was so strange, because he probably could have been in more stuff. Not Han Solo, jeez. Yeah. Harrison Ford was in lots, but Carrie Fisher wasn't, neither was Luke. He was Joker. In fact, he's like the definitive voice of Joker for a lot of people, because admittedly he's fantastic at it. I just finished Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's the voice of the Fire Lord, whatever. So he's in a lot of stuff, voice acting wise. Wow. And now he's finally starting to reappear in acting stuff. Huh. Since like this movie, basically. Yeah. I don't agree, I guess, but I don't know if
like, I'm surprised that no one... Like, he's the weakest link in terms of acting. In terms of acting, I think just about everyone else in this movie does actually a really... Like, sells it. I buy just about everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm into just about everyone else's character, but, like, every time he came on the screen and he's like... Has he done, like, stage work?
I think so, but I'm not too familiar.
It felt like he was on a stage, and he had to project over much so that people in the back row could get it. Anyhow, so, yeah.
And, yeah, I don't... I guess I just don't agree. But
that's okay.
I wonder if that's like a subjective thing. I think most people agree what is good acting, what's bad acting.
Right.
But I don't know.
Like, if I could say, oh, that is who that person is, like, if I met them on the street, that's who they are, that's good acting.
Yeah.
Which I think everyone else in this movie does. It sells it.
But you like what he is, the character is...
So I like the opposite, I guess. You're right. I object to the opposite thing that everyone else doesn't.
Most people would attend to... Well, not okay. I gotta stop saying most people. The people who do not like this movie would pinpoint that Luke... It's hard to me to see one of my favorite heroes.
Right, and I get that.
And I get that too. That was my biggest problem, but I kind of... And sometimes it's kind of a disappointment. Like, oh, it would have been cool to see Luke do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
But I also think it's interesting and also engaging to have a lesson in a Star Wars movie that sometimes your heroes are disappointments or like make mistakes or are... Because, like, Luke learned to run away from failure from Yoda. Like, he's learning from his master. Oh, I should just run away, I guess. That's what Yoda did. Worked for him, right?
Yeah.
And like, Ben, or he would never think to kill his own nephew. And I could see that also being a hard pill to swallow, too, because I think the one thing this movie could have done that would have converted all the people who hate it because of Luke is if we would have either A, seen Luke's vision. Like, let's see Luke seeing Ben be a mass murderer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That might have, like, oh, yeah, if we saw this, then maybe, yeah, that I get why Luke did that. Or B, if we would have seen Ben killing the other students, like, oh wait, maybe Luke had a point.
Right, but that would undercut the whole drama of it.
I know, and it's. I actually, you know what I did to prepare for this movie? I finally watched Rashomon.
You forget I'm not a film studies teacher. So.
Okay, Rashomon is so iconic in film history, it's become its own genre. Akira Kurosawa is the director, most famous Japanese directors of all time. One of the most famous directors of all time. What am I saying? He's one of the best. Rashomon is the story of a murder happened, and the movie shows you one perspective. Oh, it's the wife's point of view. And now it's the thief's point of view.
I have seen that.
Let's get
I have seen that. That is awesome.
So
Yeah.
this movie falls into the Rashomon like
One
category.
perspective, the
Here are
other.
the different versions of one story.
Okay.
I watched that movie for the first time to prepare for this podcast. However, I'd seen a play version of it before, so I knew the story. I knew everything. It's cool to see this is Luke's version, this is Ben's version, and here's probably more the real version.
Yeah.
But a lot of people struggle with Luke pulling the lightsaber on his nephew. I think if we saw that, but then again, there's been some fan edits where they insert the Star Killer base blowing up the planets and killing Han Solo, as in they add that in there.
Right.
That kind of helps the scene, I think. So this doesn't come from me. This comes from a writer named Brian Young, who's defending this stance.
Okay.
He writes, "The Return of the Jedi Luke would not murder his nephew. No, he wouldn't, and he didn't. He sure thought about it though. He made a mistake." And he compares it to Anakin Skywalker from the prequels. Struggling, he sees the future. Anakin saw the future, his wife dying. And he's like, what do I do with these visions here? That's what's happening to Luke Skywalker here. In Attack of the Clones, Anakin disobeys his masters to save his attachments from a future that he may very well cause. Same thing. In Empire Strikes Back, Luke tears off from across the galaxy to go save Han and Leia because of these visions of the future. It's the same thing. It's not just in the original trilogy, but prequel trilogy. He and Anakin both end up on Tatooine, killing a bunch of people in an effort to save their loved ones. Anakin, it's with the Sand People. Luke gets on Jabba's starship and stuff. So when you watch the prequel trilogy and original trilogy in this order, it's that rhyming sequence that George Lucas talked about. The Skywalker temptation to change the future that they see. Even after Luke goes to bring his father to try to bring out the good in him, Vader hints at a future where Leia is bent on the dark side, and Luke flies into a rage wanting to end his father before letting that future happen. So that's at least 2 examples of Luke trying to prevent a future he sees or his dad sees. So the point being, it makes sense for Luke to be like his father and to react on his own visions.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That didn't cause me any problem at all.
I know, that maybe wasn't for you, that was for
okay.
some other people.
Okay. Can I throw a thing?
You can do all you want.
Oh, can I? That's going to be a long... Anyhow. So at some point watching this movie, I started noticing... I don't know how to say it. I started noticing elements of other movies in it. Like someone, apparently Ryan Johnson, had sat down. He's got this project that he's got to work on, and he's like, okay, what are my favorite movies? What are the things that are happening in those movies? And I'm going to import those things into this movie. So I started making a list. So we definitely have the Karate Kid influence here.
Okay.
There's the Mr. Miyagi, the student, even that sequence where she's first trying out the lightsaber, all of that. Definitely have the Karate Kid. We have Luke Skywalker as the goat guy from Hercules, like the trainer of
TTs.
Yeah, whatever his name is. There are definite Jurassic Park elements here with the releasing of the animals and the running and the crushing of the things. There's Jurassic Park here.
Okay.
We've got The Incredibles. There was a chase scene in here that I'm like, that is almost exactly like when Dash is being chased by the guys. Anyhow,
wait,
we've got
what scene in this movie?
There's a chase scene. I don't remember where it was. I should have written it down. I apologize. So there's Fast and the Furious stuff here. There is
family.
Huh?
You mean family?
Right, the family, but also the we are going into this thing.
Oh man, you know what? Maybe we should.
Hang on.
Maybe we should do Fast and
There's
Furious one day.
There's no.
Because
no.
that would be a trip.
No. Okay, so there are kung fu stuff here, like the kung fu movies where there's a bad guy, or there's a bunch of bad guys and a single good guy, and the single good guy fights the one bad guy, and then the other bad guy comes and takes his turn. We got kung fu stuff. We even have World War I trench warfare movie here. Like, they're in a... What on earth are they going to do in a trench with little blasters against these frickin' enormous... What are they doing in that trench? They're dying. There's no reason for them to be there.
So they should curl up and die?
No, but there's no reason for them to be in a frickin' trench. What are they going to do? Nothing.
All right.
Anyhow, so we've got Ernest Saves Christmas is here. Like, there's just enough hope to power Santa's sleigh.
Oh, my.
Like, I'm not joking. There's even a Matrix moment where, like, Mini Darth is swinging his saber at Luke, and Luke's like, "Whoa," and the saber goes boom, right over. I legit, and this is not, I went into this movie, I'm like, I can like this movie, but I'm like, no, this is some guy who loves movies, and he's like, oh, I could do this, and I love this from this movie, and he put it all in here. That's what this movie is. So, that's my rant number 1.
Okay. I don't know if I agree with that, but
I can.
Here's one you missed.
Okay.
There's a shot that just it mirrors, because it's on purpose. There's the first movie to ever win Best Picture is a movie called Wings. It's a silent movie where there's a shot where the camera goes in between all these people in this building, whatever. Ryan Johnson does the same thing when they get to the casino planet. It's mirroring the Wings shot, cool. Which is just really cool.
Well, he did that on purpose then.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Anyhow. Yeah. So, and it's not just movies. It's like he had this checklist of, like, social issues. That he's like, okay, we need to address this social issue, and it's very, like... You can tell when he stops addressing one social issue and moves to the next social issue.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyhow, so it was not, for me, a very synthetic movie experience.
Yeah.
It seemed very segmented. Like, there are pieces of, I really like this thing, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. And then I really like this thing, I'm going to do that. So for me, that was the biggest disappointment. That it wasn't a whole movie. It was like a bunch of shorts that they tagged together.
I mean...
There's a heist movie in here.
I kind of get that, because my initial reaction was I liked the Luke and Rey stuff. I didn't like the Finn and Rose and Poe stuff. Like, it was like 2 separate movies going on. And now... Okay, so I don't love all the Canto Bight stuff, like the Casino Planet.
Oh, okay.
Like, I wish... it needs to be edited down just a little bit, I think.
And they need some non-Earth 20th century gambling games in their casino.
No, that's fun.
No, that was stupid.
Wacky monsters and aliens, that's Star Wars, that's good stuff.
How in X centuries have they not figured out a better game than roulette and blackjack and the dice, the craps?
That doesn't
that is, but... Like, that took me out. It did, because I'm like, in Solo, they had whatever game that was. That was different-ish.
Oh, Sabacc?
I mean, it was still kind of poker, but it was different.
Okay.
Yeah, they're literally throwing dice. It's just playing craps. Anyhow, that's a nitpick. It wasn't even something I wrote. So,
that's fair.
Go ahead.
I now appreciate, like, what was, like, that what Finn and Rose are attempting to do. Can I just list...
It's your turn.
The biggest complaints people have about this movie? Besides, people think Luke is a departure of Luke. People are mad that Snoke was like a misdirect and kind of a pointless character.
That's fair.
People don't like Leia in space. They don't like Leia.
I hated that.
So you're
like, are you like specifically she gets blown out into space? And then she's not dead.
And uses the Force to come
back.
Yeah,
that was completely absurd.
So we do need to note, this movie was filmed and made and done, and then Carrie Fisher died. Like...
Oh, that was her?
That was Carrie Fisher, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was somebody playing her.
No.
Okay.
So, that's the weird thing, and the unfortunate thing is, like, she's, like, in a coma for most of this movie, where...
Oh, really?
Like, you know, not in real life, in the story.
Oh,
She's in space, she's just in... Yeah. Whatever, healing up. It's like, if we would have known in real life, we could have had a different thing for Leia to do. Because Like, Han, the episode 7 is Han Solo's movie.
Okay.
Episode 8 is Luke Skywalker's movie.
Sure.
For better or worse. And the idea was episode 9 was going to be Leia's movie.
Oh.
Where she's the main original character that is interacting with them. But then she died. And that's why this movie's dedicated to her, as opposed to, like, the next one and stuff.
Yeah.
So, to prepare you for episode 9, they had to do some workarounds with the character of Leia. And it is what it is. And unfortunately, that we couldn't do a lot more. Anyway, so they don't like Leia.
They could have brought the CGI Leia in from whatever movie that was.
Well, now that's a whole other conversation.
That was the cringiest thing I think I've ever seen.
Most people do not like the B plot with the casino.
Yeah, it seemed like... I mean, it's a 2.5 hour long movie.
It's the longest one.
It felt like they were padding it. Yeah.
Maybe. People don't like Holdo. She's Laura Dern, who becomes in charge right after Leia gets into space. Holdo. She's...
Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
They're mostly upset. Like, why didn't she just tell?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Why would she not just tell
I have a
her?
rebuttal for that. At first I struggled with, hey, in the original trilogy, the rebels were barely surviving.
Right.
But this is different. This is like the main army, and now we're back to barely surviving.
Right.
So that was always frustrating, but it's the spark will light the flame. That's the thing they're going for here.
Yeah.
But I think...
Which is just psychobabble as far as I could tell.
Also, people didn't like Rey's parentage being nobody.
Oh, that's actually one of my 5 things that I liked a lot. I like that we finally have someone that's just a nobody that has skills.
I agree.
Okay.
And then the end, the broom boy... Did you notice the broom boy?
He had the ring that Rey had.
Very, very subtly, when he reaches for the broom, he uses the Force.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's kind of an easy thing to miss, but also reinforcing, like, you can come from anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Oh. Well,
Sorry,
then that's annoying if they did that.
I have to sigh. I love the idea of you don't have to be linked to a lineage to be important, to be the hero. Rey didn't need to be anyone. She's Rey from nowhere.
Yeah.
And the broom boy, he's from nowhere, but he's got the Force, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It would be stupid to change that, you know what I mean? Anyway.
What?
and some people are not happy that with Kylo Ren as being set up as the villain. But I think it's interesting.
What else would he be?
I don't know. Team up with good guys, I guess. Anyway, we'll see what happens with episode 9 with some of that stuff.
Now that scene after the copy scene that they copied from Return of the Jedi, what happens... So I said this about the last movie too. The best acting in this movie is the two of them.
Yeah.
Together. I don't have a clue why they filmed the vision. I don't know what to call them when they are mentally connected. Why did they film those scenes that way rather than showing them together and having the half and the half?
Yeah,
that was probably one of the worst filming decisions I've ever seen.
Well, what's crazy is Kylo Ren, the actor Adam Driver, he flew into the island they're filming to film those off camera. He's there. I don't know.
What on earth?
I think that works, and I love that as a new that's a new Force thing that I think is such a cool idea.
The mental connection thing. It could have been so much better. They are there. You could even have kept his starship background on half the screen,
or even just they literally say, "Can you see my surroundings? I can't see yours." So they could have had Rey in the ship and Kylo on the island.
Yes,
but they didn't. I think it's because it builds up to their fingers. Can they actually touch? And then they can. I think it's supposed to be.
Oh well, that's a nitpick probably, but
I don't know.
I was like, that is.
But I don't have any problems with that ever. I think
I
it
had
works.
a lot of problems
because it's kind of cool where Kylo wipes the water off his face.
Yeah.
It's not just seeing. It's physical here too.
Yeah, it's true. Do you want me to?
Do you know what I mean? I have.
No, I got nitpicks and I got all sorts of crap. I do. I got a bunch of gag quotes.
All right, what's one of your gag quotes? Because I think there are some funny lines in here.
Okay, let's go with that then. That was one of my major issues. Why is this now a slapstick comedy? Like
Star Wars has always been a little goofy.
Like when? When do we have a robot being like, pew, stick, 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 stick. Oh, I can't plug everything.
Oh, what? That's good.
No, that's garbage.
You know what? I'm here for our General Hugs.
No.
Hugs is here. All right, I'll hold. I have a message for him.
That was funny.
And his mother.
That was good. I give you that.
Hey, yeah, did you like them blowing up all the cannons? That was your beef last time.
I think that's hilarious that they did it.
I know.
Because they're like,
dudes better be happy.
Because somebody a lot of somebody's must have been like, they only blew up one, so he's like, okay, we're blowing them all up this time.
Because I was like, dudes better be happy about it.
I was happy.
Okay.
I was. Just like, or like when Luke's like, no, but whatever he said, everybody's from somewhere, and she's like, I'm here from there, and he's like, oh yeah, that's pretty much nowhere. No.
That's
all.
Sorry to always, like, that's one of the lines I think is actually one of the good funny lines.
No.
There are some I don't like.
This isn't, Star Wars is not a slapstick movie. We have Galaxy Quest and Spaceballs to do that for us.
That's fair.
It doesn't belong here. Like, we don't need comic relief.
There's always been comic relief. Like R2-D2 and C-3PO. Like C-3PO
C-3PO can...
I know you hate... He's barely in this, but...
Thank goodness.
But it's like... What have I told you? I'm talking to strange computers, R2. Or... and you said this place was lovely. Like, there's been... Or what about Han Solo? Like, fine here, we're fine here. How are you? Boring conversation. Like, there's been jokes the entire
jokes, but
time.
not slapstick. Like Finn waking up and he bangs his head and then he falls out of the bed and he's whoa.
Yeah, that stuff's
and then
not the
like
best.
this water spraying out when he's talking. And anyhow, that was really a nitpick. But you
Finn
brought
diaper
it up,
leaking bag. Have you brown? That's good stuff.
Okay, so quotes that I was like, no. I've seen this raw strength only once before. No, we're done with that. We've done that like 8 times now. No.
And he's a Skywalker.
It was worth it
Just
to
kidding.
tear up that town.
That's a bad line.
And then she's like, takes the friggin' saddle off. Now it was no.
See, okay, that's what I was saying. I wish we could take out some of that stuff, like when the kids get knocked down on the ground and they look up. It's like, what is this?
No.
I agree.
Okay.
Not everything
For
is
the
a winner.
transport to escape, someone needs to stay behind. No, that's not true. Nobody needed to stay behind because all the ship was doing at that point is moving across the space. You don't need somebody to move the ship across space. Get off of the friggin' ship. No.
Okay,
so they don't need to stay behind. Godspeed, rebels.
All right, that's just on you. But some people, that's a huge thing that annoying Star Wars fans will bring up. It's like, you can just ram ships in with light speed. Why don't they do that all the time?
Because you're dead?
Yeah. 1, it kills the driver.
Right.
2, they're spaceships. They're expensive.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose their spaceships. Yeah. That is such a non-argument for me that it's not even.
That's not even an argument.
People will pinpoint on that like, that's why if they can just do like no.
That moment was awesome.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments of this movie.
It's a beautiful moment
where
too.
she's like,
it looks incredible.
Yeah. I loved that. That was one of my other top things. So anyhow, there's a lot of lines in here and things that I'm just like.
Here, I'll give you a line I don't like.
What?
When Finn goes, "How come I can't feel my teeth?" And I'm like, "Do you feel your teeth?"
I actually.
What about your tongue? That makes way more sense than I don't like. Right now, I can feel my teeth technically, but it's not like I'm in my mouth feeling my teeth all the time.
Yeah. So those were annoying, but I mean that's really just kind of nitpicky stuff.
Okay.
So I had, aside from what we already talked about with the Karate Kid and Jurassic Park thing, I had really 2 main issues with this. So issue number 2, I guess now, it seems like nobody learns anything in the Star Wars universe. because there are so many tactical mistakes that happen in this movie. Like, in the first 10 minutes of this movie, when they're, like, whatever is Bo Skaggs, what is his name? The Poe. Mm-hmm. When he's doing his thing, apparently everyone in the Empire are idiots. Because every single thing that they do in response to what the rebels are doing is tactically moronic. Like, why on earth would they just sit there and watch these things coming at them? Why on earth would they, like, and where did the bombers come from? Nowhere. Like, they're not there. And then all of a sudden, here are a bunch of bombers. Where did they? We don't know. Nobody knows. And here they come. Why? And if they just popped into space, why didn't they pop into space over the frickin' dreadnought instead of like out there where they can get all the explode? No,
I suppose there's
so many stupid tactical
The guy
things.
even says that. Assemble the fires 5 bloody minutes ago. Like,
right? Why?
He agrees with you.
Dude is the general. Oh my gosh, that whole first scene, I'm like, this is not going to be a good movie. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
So we got one fighter flying in on the dreadnought. One, right?
That's why they didn't assemble the fires.
And okay, great. One guy. And he blows up this and that. And they're just like, oh, yep, there goes another one.
Yeah, because they're not worried about one guy.
Oh, that's all of them. Whoops, that sucks for no. Either these guys are idiots and they deserve to die, and the Empire or whatever what is it called again?
The First
Order just deserves to go away, or whoever wrote this,
Rian Johnson,
is not. No. And every fight scene in here is just the same. There's so many tactical. So like you've got the entire rebel force on these 5 ships. And there's no way that you can figure out how to blow up those 5 ships. You're just going to stay here and just follow them. For how long do they follow that ship?
like 18 hours or something.
Yeah, you're just following them. Why? Like, you want the rebels to be dead forever and ever. There they are.
Okay, so
And you're just like, oh,
here's the thing. On one hand, it's weird.
It's absurd.
Because Star Wars has never really been about fuel or
Right.
stuff. I mean, there's other mentions of it. And it's like, we just have to go, like, what the movie tells us. Like, I guess we can't catch up, sure.
No.
Okay, but that's what it's telling us. And so, I think that you need to appreciate that this is just a radically different type of Star Wars movie. Like, we've never seen, like, a chase. Like, the whole movie is just a chase, basically. Yeah. And I think it's cool that how different
that is.
There's our
Fast and the Furious.
Well, it's not really fast, am I right? No, but it's like, you were complaining all for 2 episodes last week about, it's just the same. It's like, this is 100% different now.
It's not 100%.
Yeah.
But, I mean, admittedly, it is different. Now the Empire doesn't actually want to destroy anything, apparently. They just want to follow them and make sure they're not being naughty or something.
Here's what I was you know like, what? Let me give you one of the things I kind of dislike about this movie. I don't know why they just don't separate and go every which way. Like, when they're on the...
Because they can get picked off.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Star Wars has never had spaceships that haven't been able just to use light speed. Even, like, the small ones could.
Right.
I don't... Like, when they get all in their little transports, just literally go 100 different places.
That would be super easy to pick them off.
No, because they're in light speed. Just go every which way.
Oh, because they can track light speed.
Yeah, but they can't track everyone. Okay, so what's kind of fun about...
Just like magically now we can track light speed.
I think it makes sense for a progression of technology. I think...
Okay.
And also, here's another thing. To appease people like you, I guess. Stop. In Rogue One...
We've got... How long... From the prequel to now, how long is that? 200? What is that? 150 something? I don't know. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, with no explanation, no...
That's why they didn't know
preceding
about
technology that leads up to it.
They didn't know about it. Like, that's why they got caught off guard when they arrived. Like, what? They can do this now? Yeah. No one... Anyway... Stop.
But it's never existed before. But how long does it take friggin' Finn and whatever the other girl's name is to figure out how to disable it? Like 14 seconds? How would they figure that out if it's never existed before?
Because they knew what it was. They knew how to get to the thing to turn it off.
Well, if they know what it is, why don't they make it then? It's freaking absurd. I hate this movie.
I think it's Rogue One. When they're going through the files to get to the Death Star plans, I think they say, like, lightspeed tracking or something. It's, like, hinted at as a little...
Great.
So there...
No, literally what happened is, dude wrote his Karate Kid part. He wrote his Jurassic Park part. He wrote his Fast and the Furious part and his, World War I trench warfare part. And then he's like, okay, how are they going to connect up here? Let's just make a whole new thing that's never existed before. They can track them through light speed. That'll solve everything. It's just like this, what is that called? When they're like, well, we've painted ourselves into a corner here. I think, what is it called? Oh, it's the Deus Ex Machina for this plot. It's like, wow, we have nothing. These are not connected. Here comes God in the form of brand new, never heard of or even thought of technology, magic. Anyhow, whatever.
I guess I disagree.
I know you do.
All right, can I talk about some things?
Sure.
That I think make this movie really good.
Okay.
So we got Luke Skywalker.
All ears.
So one thing, just a little thing, I like how it addresses prequels. Because Luke's like, I got 3 lessons for you. Lesson number 1, the Jedi died at the height of their power because they were so vain. That's the prequels.
Yeah.
Do you like Luke's explanation of the Force?
Yep.
Because I think it's one of the best explanations of the Force.
I liked a lot of what Luke says and does.
But not how it's acted.
Yeah, his acting is pretty terrible.
I just like the reach out. I can feel it.
That was
the Force.
Perfect.
Smack.
That was beautiful.
But it's like, what do you see? Life, death, calm,
right.
The Force is the thing in between that. It's like the yin yang.
Yep.
Remember how I said that right?
Got it.
Plus, I've been watching a lot of Avatar the last.
And they pronounce it correctly.
Yeah. There's a the big stuff is like balance and anyway. But I love. I don't know if you feel it's like, what's the Force? It makes people do things and you can lift rocks.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, no, this is what the Force is. It doesn't belong to anyone. That's one of his lessons. But then at the end, I love how it kind of comes full circle. Like, oh, I gotta lift rocks. Like, oh, sometimes it is about.
That was okay. I know that was like total fan service moment, but I didn't mind it.
I think it came full circle very well.
Yeah.
I love that a major theme of this movie is about failure.
Yeah.
And learning from your mistakes.
Yep, I wrote that too.
In fact, that's one of Yoda's best line, he rolled his eyes, everyone. But
I did not.
You looked at me like
Yoda's presence in this movie is ridiculous.
First of all, no one knew that was coming. That was a surprise. People could have predicted it.
So much a caricature of himself, and oh man.
All right,
sorry.
explain.
Go ahead with the Yoda thing.
How's he a caricature?
I'll just be quiet.
Just explain what you think.
Do your thing. I already told you. I feel like what is his name?
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson watched Mystery Men right before he was writing the Yoda part. And he's like, oh, the Sphinx is... Like, I love how he imparts his wisdom. So, dear listener, hopefully you watched Mystery Man so you actually know who the Sphinx is. But basically, all the Sphinx does is says stuff like, in order to overcome your fears, you must first fear the overcoming. And that's basically what Yoda does here. I do like that he blew up the sacred tree or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
That was cool.
He uses lightning, which is kind of interesting.
He's trying to wake up Luke and
Yeah.
get him to, it's
The
not
sacred
about the
Jedi
old...
texts are in there.
Right.
Read them, have you? Well, I skimmed. He's like,
See, that is not...
what,
No.
Luke?
Just all that slapstick stuff.
Well,
No.
I think it's funny.
Anyhow, sorry.
All right, this is going to tie into two things here. I'm going to get back to failure in just a second, okay? But this movie is literally trying to tell fans it's okay for something new. So if, like, the prequels and originals, like, though that's the sacred text, it's like, well, maybe it's time for something new, A lot of fans are clinging on to those books, or the idea of the books, the sacred Jedi things to make you the biggest, coolest Jedi ever.
Right.
Well, maybe something else is in the way. And it's like Kylo Ren literally says to Rey, it's like, you have to let the past die. Kill it if you have to. To me, that's addressing the fans. It's like, you're holding on to all this stuff, but you need to let some of this go to let new stuff come. And I think, unfortunately, the fans win. But I think this movie is attempting to say we need to do something new. We need to kill the past to get the next stories, basically. I think that's what part of that is intention trying to do. In fact, the lightsaber, the sacred image that Luke throws over his shoulder, the thing that's been in all the movies, literally breaks in half.
That was a fantastic
It is a fantastic. It would be ridiculous to ever try to fix it and bring it back. You know what I mean?
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, so it's literally like, this is I think The Last Jedi is attempting to be the start of a new generation, a new saga, new ideas, things you're pining for. That's what I see in this movie, a big thing that I see.
So that idea that that's one of the philosophy things that I pulled out.
Yeah.
And if it's only what you just said, I think that would be unfortunate. It can be that.
Yeah.
But I think one of the philosophical messages of this movie is what is our relationship to the past?
Yeah.
So we've got the legendary, whatever, Luke, and then we've got the canonical whatevers, and so philosophically, we can say that we have three parts. Mm-hmm. We have our pastness self. We have our present and our future.
Yeah, the ghost of Christmas past.
Sure.
The ghost
of
Christmas
present and the ghost of Christmas future. And philosophy argues a lot about what is the appropriate focal point for our attentions and our beliefs. And what I felt like this movie was saying is the past is done. We have to be able to let go of whatever mistakes we've made, but also whatever triumphs that we've had, and just recognize we are who we are right now. Yes, the past played a role. Yes, we probably need to learn from our past mistakes, but if we don't live right now with who we are now, we end up like Luke.
Yeah.
I felt like that was, and we have it also, like it's reinforced, like with Rey. I need my parents, I need to find out whatever. She finds out. That does not destroy her. That she does not allow her past, at least as far as I read her, to destroy who she is becoming. And so we have this foil of Luke can't let go of the mistakes that he's made, but also the weight of his legendary status in the universe.
Yeah, because he's literally like, what do you want me to do? Face down the First Order?
Right.
And then he does
it, which I thought was... I love that, but I was also like, I recognize that.
Right.
Like, he's doing that. And so, yeah, we have multiple people in here that illustrate this is the danger of living in the past, or this is the danger of living in the future. So we have, my favorite scene in here is the scene with Mini Darth, Kylo Ren. I remembered Kylo Ren and Rey. And they're facing off, and he's trying to get her to join his future.
In a way that feels different than like you were saying.
I did. I felt like that was,
agree.
Different. And frankly awesome. I loved that scene.
Yeah.
So, but they could have formed something great
Yeah.
together. But because he can't let go of his vision of the future, he tears that apart.
Yeah.
And so, like, this movie's answer to where should we live is we should live in the present, which is not surprising at all, given the fact that this is the Force, like we talked about in the episode, is a very Buddhist, Eastern centric concept.
Yeah.
So Eastern philosophy is very much you should live here, right now.
Yeah.
Smell what you're smelling, see what you're seeing right now. Don't spend your life in either the past or the future. So philosophy of the real is what you said. But it also can be a call to the Star Wars fans to, let go.
And, like, here's the thing. I showed you the scene from Mandalorian Season 2 when Luke Skywalker comes in, saves the day. He kills all those robots in the hallway.
Yeah.
So, as a fan of Star Wars, we can now have our cake and eat it too. You wanted Luke Skywalker to be the coolest Jedi ever? Well, there's some of that right there.
Yeah.
Can Luke Skywalker also be a message or a lesson about failure? He also could do that. I think it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote this down. I don't remember where I heard this, but I'm pretty sure I heard it from somewhere. Kylo has a hero backstory, and Rey has a villain backstory. Kylo had, like, the loving parents, but either resented the legacy or, like pulled away. But Rey, abandoned by parents.
Right.
She has every right to be bitter at the world. But they're opposites that way.
Yeah.
Even though he had a family, like parents, he went to the dark side. Rey could have been that, but she's choosing the light side. Yeah. And that's, they could have teamed up in this, or...
Yeah, and if I were to actually be passionate about this whole thing, Star Wars thing, that would be the thing that would upset me the most. Mm-hmm. Is from that moment, this could have been like a resolution, like the balancing of the Force could have happened permanently.
Yeah.
And whoever what is his name?
Ryan
Johnson opted not to do that. Like, the next movie could have been amazing. It could have been the resolution of this, like, the ultimate, because ultimately the goal, I feel like, of Star Wars is balance.
Yeah.
It's finally finding the sweet spot where we can, enter nirvana, or as a society we can become perfect.
So, okay, last week I mentioned that this movie broke Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because of, like, the massive fan reaction and, like... So, not too long ago, I don't know what studios it was, but it's definitely part of Hollywood where executives are like, oh, we need... I guess we need a council of nerds to keep us on track of what is and what isn't acceptable. So, and this was just like the other year or not too long ago. And that people were quick to point out, this is from Last Jedi. This is because so many people got mad at Last Jedi. Like, oh, that's not how Star Wars is supposed to be type of thing. Or that's different than what it should have been. Like, it might happen in our near future of, like, having to get things approved and checklisted by, like, people who have read all the books or read all the comics or yada, yada, yada. And I think that's just ridiculous. Because... What? Because...
Why wouldn't that make it...
It would have...
Because a lot of the complaints I had with Marvel, and probably a lot of people have with Marvel, is exactly that. It's not true.
How it's different from, like, comic books?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but you also gotta, like... change things up so it's like, we don't want you to know what the story is. This is inspired by this is inspired by that.
Sure.
We can't make movies off all the comics. It's like there's too much story there.
Yeah.
And I guess for me at this movie, it's like, no, I like what Rian Johnson's doing. People have shot this stuff down.
Yeah.
They would have made Luke the powerful...
So what are the main things that he tweaked or redirected? Luke, what else again? So I really liked Luke. What he was trying to do with Luke's character.
Probably Holdo. and how she's
She
the leader.
won't say
Well, she won't
what
say.
she's doing.
Snoke turns out to be a misdirect. As Leia Poppins, is what it's sometimes called. Like Leia flying through space. The whole Canto Bight stuff, mostly.
Okay. So those are all, to me, those are all kind of smallish things other than Luke.
Yeah.
But anyhow, okay.
Okay, so anyway, where were we?
I don't know. That was a hum to a something great.
Oh yeah, can I get back to the failure thing?
Yeah.
Because it's not just Luke that's throwing failure. Like Yoda had the line, I looked it up. It said, "The greatest teacher failure is." Because Luke's, being whiny. He's kind of whiny all the time anyway. But Yoda says, weakness, folly, failure also. Yes, failure most of all. The greatest teacher failure is. Because Luke couldn't live up.
In order to be taught by failure, failure must be your teacher.
All right, so you were just saying this. The legend of Luke is too big for him. He says, Luke, we are what they grow beyond. That's the true burden of all masters. It's like you're beyond reality. You're like so big in your story or legend that no one can live up to that.
Yeah.
And when Luke stumbled, pulling the lightsaber on his nephew, he's like, I guess I can't live up to that. I'm gonna go exile myself.
Right.
Anyway, but I love that, but also like Poe's whole thing, like the first battle with the bombers and stuff, which he rolled his eyes again. Which, by the way,
I'm trying to keep my gorge down. Honestly,
I love that battle because it's so.
You are so frustrating.
It's so different than
so
all other Star Wars movies. Like, it's kind of like a mini movie at the beginning. It's
kind of like they forgot how to fight and how to be in
and
war.
So, like, Rose's sister is just... Oh, Rose is another big thing people hate. People hate
Why?
Rose. Well, part of it's kind of like the forced weird kiss that they do. She, like, stops Finn from killing himself.
Yeah.
People don't like Rose. Maybe it's for sexist reasons.
Thought she was good. I enjoyed her.
I actually don't even remember, but it was a big deal at the time. Like, people thought she was the worst. She was like, the new Jar Jar Binks, basically.
What?
Anyway, so Rose's sister, it's like they don't even talk during this part. The other guy dies up there. She climbs up, falls down. Oh no, it's falling. Grabs it. Terrible. I think all of that's good.
Was terrible. Okay.
I think Princess Leia or General Leia, looking at all of the screen of all the ships that blew up, all the people that died. So like then she demotes Poe, and then at the end of the movie, he wants to do the same thing again at first. Like, let's ride these janky ships. We gotta do this. People are dying, and like his lesson. Like, he's basically learning to be the guy to take over after Leia, but then he messes up. Also, there's the other funny line: get your head out of your cockpit. That's a good line. Anyway.
That wasn't the worst line.
He has learned from failure. Like, the whole reason he doesn't tell...
Wait, whoa. He has not.
Yes, he did. He's like...
Eventually, after, literally they're down to, 12 people, he's like, oh, okay.
So he's hot-headed, sure. But the reason Holdo doesn't need to tell him the plan is he was demoted. He doesn't know Holdo. Holdo doesn't know him. As far as she knows, he's just some guy who's hot-headed, basically.
Right, but if you know someone is hot-headed, and there's not who is he going to reveal this secret plan to?
Well,
what is the danger of telling him, this is what we're going to do?
I guess she just doesn't need to, technically. But as an audience member...
So it's just like a power trip? She's like, I'm not telling you, because... You're handsome and what? Anyhow, I didn't. At that point of this movie, I was like, no, whatever.
Did you like Laura Dern though?
Who's that?
That's Holdo, the purple-haired lady.
Sure.
All right, I guess watch more David Lynch movies. Okay.
I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is the best acting on the planet.
But the whole reason he has this backup plan with Finn and Rose is because he thinks he could just do it better.
Right.
But he's obviously wrong. He's not thinking straight. And I don't know. I like the flawed heroes. I like our flawed protagonists.
I do too.
I mean, and even Poe learns failure. Like, Poe never wanted to be one of the heroes of the Resistance. Not Poe, sorry,
Really?
Finn.
Oh, okay.
Finn. That's why he's running away. He's got to go find Rey, his only friend he's ever had in his entire life.
Yeah.
Let me see some of my notes here.
I still have my third big...
Wait, hold on. Just calm down.
Okay.
So
while you're looking...
Wait.
I just have one...
I got it. I found it.
Like.
Doesn't matter. I found it. So, like, Finn... the Finn and Rose subplot illustrates the theme of failure as it represents an attempt that went wrong. It's like they literally failed. It's not like I failed in the past. This is me failing at something right now type of thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, what were you going to say?
No, I liked that. I liked their super secret, whatever the crap they were trying to do, up in their face.
And I
thought that was great.
And I love DJ. He's the weird guy, Benicio del Toro. Remember?
Like the hacker thief guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he is doing an accent. Yeah. He is doing something with that.
I don't know what he's doing, but
I don't know either.
Because
he's a great actor, and I wish he's not in the next one, but I wish he would be. Yeah. Because I love that. He's like the middle guy, and there's probably like we could go into maybe the ethics of him specifically, because he's like he points out like the bad guys bought these weapons, but guess what? The good guys bought these weapons. Yeah, I'm gonna help you, but those guys are paying more right now.
Right.
He's not like a bad guy in quotes. He just is trying to, I guess, look out for him. I guess that's what's. And
that's he's one of our ethical, like, is there good and bad? Like his ethical perspective is good and bad are perspective. Yeah. Entirely perspective.
Because like Finn and Rose are literally like about to die, and they're like, "You're wrong." And he's like, "Maybe."
Yeah.
And then
bye.
That's the last we see of him.
Yeah. I liked his character a lot. Okay. So my last huge issue with this, and I will put the caveat: I loved Skywalker's ruse at the end, like his everything that he did there to pull that off.
Wait, pause.
I loved it.
Building up to that, I love that Luke and Leia got a final scene together.
Kind of.
I know, kind of. I love that he kisses her on the head. Like,
even though that's not possible because he's a hologram or whatever.
But I'm pretty sure there's a look that she gives him, and he like looks back. You can read that as she knows.
She knows what's up.
She knows, and it's just a beautiful. Did you know Carrie Fisher, who plays Leia? She was like a script doctor for lots of movies. Meaning a script would come to her, and she would like make it
good.
Like And I think some of the stuff is...
But she died before she could fix this script, apparently.
I think there are some lines that are purely hers. Like, when... Because, for example, it's her line that says, there's something different about you. Yeah, I changed my hair. That's like a great little line.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just love that moment. I wanted to...
The Luke Leia moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a nice thing.
It was precious.
Yeah. The ruse.
Okay, with that caveat, the entire end of this movie is garbage. The whole thing, from a tactical, if these people know anything about war at all, nothing in the latter part of this movie, from the moment they land on the planet to the end, would happen. So.
Like what?
Oh, well, good. I'm glad that you asked. So, if you are a group of people and you are stuck in a bunker...
Which, by the way, this is a level on Battlefront. I've had many a memory shooting at those walkers.
Okay, you're stuck in this cavern, whatever. Okay. You're probably not going to, wait until the friggin' people are right in front of you to shut the door. Okay, they're like, they got the door open and they're looking, and then all of a sudden, pew, 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 blow up crap. No, you're going to shut the frickin' door. As soon as you get there, everyone's in, you shut the door. Okay, whatever. You are not, going to go out against these friggin' enormous, what are they, AT-ATs? AT-ATs, AT-ATs, or whatever. All of that. You got these piece of crap little whatever the crap they are. What exactly did he plan to do with those?
Luke?
No, the friggin' dumb space pilot jock, Bo.
Poe.
Poe. What was he gonna do?
I guess he's like distracting them. Like those ships don't really
So
fly.
that what could happen?
I don't know.
Okay, neither does he, neither does anyone else. He's just riding out on this. Do they even have weapons on them? No. They're just riding out on these little scooters against these friggin' enormous crab. What is he gonna do? Nothing. He's not gonna do anything. Okay, great. So let's send all of our pilots out on skateboards against Sherman tanks and missile launchers. Great. And then let's take everyone else that is available and put them in a trench. Let's just line them up nicely and very visibly so that the oncoming enemy can basically just go and there goes the rebellion.
I think they had some big guns.
Moronic.
I don't know if you noticed this. Did you know the planet was made of salt?
Oh, great.
Did you catch that?
Is that what the red salt was?
No, it's how a guy
it's
licking the
salt?
ground and it's like, salt.
At that point, I didn't care. So, the entire rebel response to these oncoming is I think probably anyone that has played any tactical video game in their lives could have come up with a better plan for the rebels than what they came up with. Anyhow, that's the rebel side.
Okay.
If you are the Empire or the First Order, thank you, basically the Empire, and you know where they're at. You know exactly where these rebels are at. Option 1, you use your space cannon from your big frickin' ship and you just blow a New York City-sized crater where the rebels are. Option 1. Option 2, you send down a bunch of land crap and you put it, let's put it 15, 20 miles away from where they are so that they have plenty of time to see you coming and do all of their dastardly deeds to kill you and whatever before you get to the point that you can blow them up. Tactically, which option is a better option? Obviously, option 1. But we don't opt for that. We opt to put all of our guys 200 miles away and let them roll slowly across the desert to come over and shoot these 14 rebel scums.
Yeah.
Or whatever's left.
Rebel scum.
Great. So, they finally get into range. And they have a battering ram cannon.
I don't know why this really got to you.
That was so funny to me. Like of all of the things they could have called it, this is what I think happened. I think Ryan Johnson. I got Josh Whedon in my head for some reason. I think Ryan Johnson got done with... Okay, and what else? Oh, I really love Storm the Castle movies. They have battering rams in the Storm the Castle movies.
And the battering rams in Storm the Castle movies are cool, so what's the problem with that?
So he's like, we gotta have a battering ram. What should we call it? A battering ram cannon! Yeah, let's move on. Print it.
Wait. Can I interject something here?
Sure.
Some people are like, Rose, why did you save Finn? It's because his death wasn't going to do anything. It wasn't going to stop the cannon.
Why not? It blows up the cannon.
Because it was going to... Well, I guess there's an argument there. I just don't think he was going to die in vain. It was a nice gesture. I just have to get that out there for some.
That was precious. Whatever. Okay.
Then the kiss is weird. Let's be honest. Not a fan of the kiss.
Okay. At that point, like I said, I didn't care anymore.
You have to watch the movie still.
I did watch. I saw them kiss. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you have a battering ram cannon. At what point are you going to charge up your battering ram cannon? Is it going to be A, before you need to use it, or are you going to roll up in range of all of the enemy's opposition forces and then start charging up your cannon? Which apparently there's nothing in Star Wars for the Empire that just shoots. We always have to have like a 5 or a 10-minute warm-up so that we can... Anyhow.
You make a laser gun and tell me how it works.
A laser? Do you know, like you... And it's the beam.
Just keep going.
Oh, okay. No, there's more because... Okay, so let's wait until they can hit us with their small arms fire before we charge up this cannon, battle ram cannon. Great. Whatever. You've got this row of people here, and then you've got how many AT-ATs do they have? AT-ATs or whatever they're called?
ATM-6s.
ATM-6s. Okay. You've got, I don't know, what, 10 of these guys.
Okay.
And so all you have to do from your distance is just lay down a straight line of fire. They've all lined themselves up nicely. It's just like a shooting gallery. We could just go dead. No.
Yeah, but
let's not do that.
Apparently they can't do that because they didn't do it.
Let's shoot
so
over.
Maybe they can't do it.
Let's shoot on the mountain. Let's shoot on the dirt or the salt in front of them.
Yeah, it is
Let's
salt.
just shoot everywhere except for where the people are.
Maybe they can't. Okay. All right.
No,
they're not in range or something because they can't do that.
Range. They are right there because you know how I know that?
How do you know
because
that?
They didn't move at all from when they blew up the crap out of Luke Skywalker. They didn't move at all. And Luke just walked out to the middle of the line. Okay, anyhow.
Sure.
All right. So, you have one spaceship on the good guy, or on the, whatever they're called, the Rebels force.
The Resistance.
Resistance. Great. You've got one spaceship. You have, what? A dozen, 2 dozen.
Yeah, and they're all chasing it.
Yeah. Oh.
They hate that ship.
So makes sense.
I'm not gonna stand here.
We have
nonsense.
Air superiority.
They haven't explained that part.
No, because that is an idiotic strategic move. You have air superiority. What are you going to do with it? Well, of course, what you're going to do with it is chase the one ship that is very obviously trying to lead your air superiority away.
They would blow up the Millennium Falcon.
Okay, great. We're not going to send half our force
yes, they are.
And half our force stays here to obliterate this nice line of rebel force. I am not done.
Well, you should be.
I am not done. No, we're going to send all of them away, and they're all going to chase. And do they even succeed? No, they don't. They are apparently, they were trained on Tinker Toys or something about how to shoot things, and meanwhile, anyhow. Okay, so we have that idiocy. Great. And then the coup de grace.
Yeah.
We've successfully, finally, despite all of our strategic idiocy, we've opened the door to this place.
Yes.
So our goal is to kill the rebels.
Yeah.
The door is open.
Yep.
Exactly. That's exactly what they do. They're like, yeah. I see them in there. Look, they're wandering around.
Okay, but then what happens, Deets?
No. We gotta get the full absurdity of this. So they're just sitting there.
Okay.
And we have, Leia and Luke, and they're probably visible. Like if I took my little AT-AT and I went pew pew, I could just kill Leia. But no, we're just gonna watch. And while the door is open, it's flaming.
They're like, there's nowhere for them to go. They don't need to be rushing.
Okay.
Because they're going in. They do go in. But first, what happens?
Wait, we're not done.
All right.
We're not done.
Go for it.
Great. So, we're sitting here. We're watching. And it's a good show. It must be a good show because everyone's watching. We're just watching and watching. And then the one guy walks out.
Yes.
It's Luke Skywalker.
Yes!
Which I've already said. I love the ruse.
Yeah.
However, strategically, the approach that they take to that entire moment is completely absurd. We, great, concentrate all the fire, not on the rebels that are right there. Like, they're literally visible in the doorway. No, we're going to shoot all of our force at, and I get it. He's pissed off. Kylo Ren hates Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
I get it.
Okay, it's
I
more
get
than just that, though.
Okay. Vengeance, revenge, whatever.
Sure.
Great. At those same 30 seconds, the entire Star Wars saga could be over. He could have just fired for 30 seconds in that hole. No, we don't do that.
Okay, all right, wait, no, because maybe they were going to, and then Luke Skywalker walks out.
Who cares?
Kylo Ren cares.
What difference does
Okay,
it make?
because now he's the supreme leader. He is taking
Great.
the mantle on himself.
Great. Okay, so
Oh
you are
my.
now supreme leader.
Okay.
And you are the most important person in the Empire.
Yes.
Okay. You are in your spaceship.
Yes.
You could do literally anything with your spaceship to kill this guy.
Okay.
But you don't. What you do instead is you walk down onto the dirt.
Right. Okay, yeah, all right, we're going to... All right, so, Deets, okay,
No,
so...
okay, all right.
Stop.
I will stop.
Now this is absurd.
Let me finish.
Finish
Okay,
up. Let me
so-
check my texts, I guess.
And then, then the thing happens with them, which I said was great, and then there's this magic hole in the back that they all escape through, and then the Empire finally goes through the hole in that they have come to the planet to blow in, and oh my goodness, everyone's gone.
Okay, so, all right.
So,
all right.
start to finish, the end of this
my gosh.
is strategically and tactically absurd.
Okay, so it's supposed to be. So I'm not going to say all of the strategic things make sense, but I don't think...
None of it.
All right, I don't think there's hardly a movie where you have to suspend disbelief for a battle to make sense or something. Yeah, like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? First off, how the heck did Finn and Rose get back in? Doesn't make sense. Because it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
There's a subtle
I'm the logic
theme.
guy.
Yeah, but this is where it gets in the way. Like, because you're like, why did they do that? Because you're not Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren's this angry... So, we're going to back up a little bit. There's kind of a subtle theme of manipulation here. In fact, when General Hux, he messes up, that's the dreadnought gets exploded, and then we get this giant Snoke head. It's like, it's dragging him on the ground and stuff. That's a lot of fun. So he goes to talk to Snoke, and then as Hux is like walking out, he's like, Snoke is like...
Wait, who's Hux?
Hux is the ginger, the ginger Nazi. I don't know. He's the one who's yelling so much.
In charge guy, the
Yeah.
general or whatever.
So
Okay.
Snoke literally says something about, he calls him a cur, which is funny, but it's like there's use for having a cur like that. You can, like basically implying like I keep this guy around even though he's maybe not the best because he can do something else really good. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he has this whole backup plan with the thing.
Which they never explain.
And so Snoke literally tells, first of all, I love how Kylo's probably the best part in all three of these movies, by the way.
I agree.
And Rian Johnson allegedly said he'd only make this one if he can get rid of the mask, which is kind of cool. So that's why he has Kylo break in. He's like, take off that ridiculous mask.
Yeah.
He's like, I killed Han Solo the first chance I got. And this is kind of going back to where you were arguing about last week for some reason. But it's like, and look at you. The very deed cut you to the bone. Yeah, he's in this devastated state.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes.
But then Snoke is the reason they're connected there. He's connecting them through the Force. He says that. He knew. He was manipulating Rey the whole time. He was like,
Sure.
if I get them to talk, she'll come to me. And I can get where Luke is, and I can get rid of her. Yada, yada, yada. And then that's where Kylo kills Snoke, takes charge, and then attempts to do Rey. But Rey's not doing it. So once again, he feels that betrayal differently because Rey's not on his side. Like, you're still holding on, you know? So all of that is to build up to Kylo being so angry he can't get a win, angry at Luke, probably for all of it. He almost killed his mom. He chooses not to, but the other, like, the random person next to him does. Yeah. So he's still, like, full of all these emotions, all these, like, things tearing him up inside. when he sees Luke, he just needs to kill Luke first.
Yeah.
And I know that you get that, but
I do get that.
that's like, he literally isn't acting rationally. Literally.
Right, I get that.
That's why he's like, more!
Yeah.
Like, it's above and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that. Like, I don't have any problem with that, other than the fact that right behind Luke...
But the thing is, Kylo is just this...
Yeah.
He doesn't...
Right.
He's not thinking about strategy. He's just like, gotta kill Luke first.
Yeah.
And Luke's... On top of that, Luke's... It's kind of cool because he vows not to be a Jedi, essentially. He cuts himself away from the Force until he, like, catches himself. But, like, he literally realizes that this is, like, a neutral move here. I'm not gonna kill Ben. I'm not gonna do any killing, necessarily. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm just gonna be there, basically.
Yeah.
So that's his, like, excuse to get back in the game. Like, I can still be what I've been... like roughly a disappointment, or like I've been a self-castaway. I can do this though.
Yeah.
I can't be the Luke they want me to be, but I can be this Luke, which looks like the Luke that we knew and loved.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also the first Star Wars movie where you don't see lightsabers hitting each other, because it's like the weird the move around and stuff. Anyway, so
the Matrix move.
I think it's cool.
I do too. I really enjoyed it in the Matrix when I first saw it. Anyhow.
Anyway, I know you know all that.
I do. I will agree with you that Kylo Ren is the best thing in these so far.
Yeah.
I
think in all three.
Potentially is like I said, it's very frustrating that they didn't follow what could have been for me. For one reason, because what came after that scene where they could have, balanced is the scene that we just talked about.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating. But also, of all of this, all of the Star Wars characters, I feel like Kylo Ren is the most interesting character.
And
more interesting than Darth Vader, than Luke, than Han, than any of them. He's got so much potential.
Yeah. I will say this, because it's hopefully vague enough. It feels like it was going to go somewhere even better, but...
Yeah. Well,
you know what? I'm going to say this to my listeners mostly. Everyone will just hear a collective Jason sigh of frustration roughly, 7 to 10 minutes into the next movie.
Oh, jeez.
I can already sense it coming.
That's fine.
Okay, so just a couple things. I like Leia flying through space. I think that's fine. I think it's
Leia Poppins. I wish I would have come up with that.
She also goes right through the hologram of the ship, foreshadowing the eventual thing. There's some other things I like. So there's an alternate scene of Phasma's death. Captain Phasma, she's the shiny one.
Oh, okay.
She's barely in the movies.
Okay.
In the alternate version, which is the better version, the ships are exploding around them because of the stuff. There's the different version is Finn is surrounded by her and her stormtroopers, and he basically goes, "Oh yeah, who's gonna tell First Order that as soon as you had a gun pointed to your head, you shut down the shields the second you got threatened?" Because that's what happened in the First Order.
Yeah.
And she's like, who's going to believe a story like that? And then you see the stormtroopers, look at each other, just subtly. And then she kills the stormtroopers. Oh. I'm whoa, this is 100 times better than...
been better.
And then, because
her death is like a non...
Yeah, exactly. And she goes, you've always been scum. He says, rebel scum. Like in the movie, but it's better in the alternate version. I'll show you her after this.
No,
and then,
I'm not watching.
I'm going to show it to you, and you're going to watch it. And also, just to defend Rose, she represents the pure Star Wars fan.
Right.
She's like the person who loves... Like Rey in the last movie, but she doesn't have powers. She's the one that loves all of this and is there because she's a good person and she loves the stories. She represents the humanity of all of them.
Yeah.
I love Rose.
She was not complex. She's very... very... straightforward in her desires. I had no problem. That's interesting that she was a big issue for people. So one other thing that I liked was like the Red Guard's weaponry
Cool, yeah.
was super cool. Why has that never been anywhere else?
I don't know,
Like
but it is
that
cool.
could have made a lot of the battles like awesome.
Those were supposed to be the Knights of Red, I think.
Anyhow, those people, their weapons were cool.
Yeah, and I love the whole red room. It's kind of like Wizard of Oz or something.
I thought it was over the top red.
But then it gets on fire. Yeah, that's why it's cool. Then it catches on fire and everyone. And their whole fight scene, people have broken down like frame by frame of how it's bad and stuff. And I suppose if you watch probably one bad guy at a time,
it's like, kung fu.
Yeah, but I think
like
it's
everyone
so cool.
just waits their turn to get killed.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love when like Kylo's struggling and Rey like throws the lightsaber at him. He goes "Chunk," just like pops it on. There's like just one hole in his. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, it was good.
Anyway, in a way, it's like a love scene between the two.
Yeah.
of them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But it's the Star Wars love scene.
Yeah, that was the best
together.
scene in the movie.
Yeah.
So in terms of ethics, one of the themes that kind of runs through is what is love? Not what is love, but like what is love a weakness or a strength? And I love movies that address that because love is. I mean, I'm going to say love is the most powerful force, interpersonal force there is. And so a lot of movies just kind of take that for granted. This movie presents it as, like, is it a weakness or is it a strength? And I thought that was a really good move on the part of this movie. So is Luke strong because he loves his sister, he loves, the good, or is it a weakness that is exploited? Yeah. And I think the most visible place is Kylo Ren, where he, in both of the movies that we've seen, we see that struggle in him.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of conflict that comes up in this movie that I wanted to talk about briefly as well. But in him, that's the conflict. His love, because he loves his parents. He does. Because he has the moment where he's like, I can kill Leia. I think you already mentioned that. Doesn't, and then somebody else does. But
did you think she was dead?
I did, and she should have been. Because she really doesn't do anything else in the whole rest of the movie. So
Admiral Ackbar died.
Yeah, which is a non-event, I guess. But.
Not to some people. Anyway.
Oh, anyhow. So that's the struggle. And if we kind of divorce the Force from the metaphysical thing that like Luke gives Rey, ultimately that's the Force.
Yeah.
Is what are you going to do with love? Is it going to are you going to allow it to be a weakness? Is it a weakness? Is it a strength? And I think that this movie doesn't answer that question, which I think is a good move. I think it strengthens this movie. So ethically, do we use people's love against them? Do we foster love? Do we what do we do? What's the right approach to loving other people? And I think the rebellion, now that the Jedi are gone, because I agree with Luke, like the Jedi's legacy is not necessarily a good legacy.
Yeah.
Now that they're gone, love can exist. Yeah. We have Finn and Rose's love. We have Luke and Leia's love. We have Han and Leia's love. It's all power. That's what makes the rebellion powerful is their ability to recognize love as a strength. And then that's why Kylo Ren is such a great tragic character, because he knows that. I think he knows that, but he's not willing to embrace the strength of love.
Or he doesn't think he's able to.
Or maybe that. Or maybe he's done too many bad things.
Kind of like what I was saying when he was killing Han Solo. He knows he shouldn't.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into it because
we already argued about that a lot.
But, it's just...
Yeah. So, I wish these movies were better. I wish they were centered on him and on Rey and them ultimately balancing the Force, but apparently that's not what's going to happen. So that sucks. That's really upsetting.
It does.
These two movies could have been a lot better.
Here's my point of view. I love the first episode 7. it's that familiar territory. It's Star Wars for Star Wars,
Rehashed.
Remixed.
Hashed.
And then this one, I think the bold choices are interesting. The Last Jedi, I think it's the most daring and thematically rich out of all the Star Wars movies.
More daring than A New Hope?
Yeah, only because that's not because of New Hope, it's because New Hope was literally the first one. If magically New Hope wasn't the first one somehow,
If we started with number 1.
or something, New Hope would have been like a more thematically rich or able to
fair.
be better.
That's fair.
I think, that bold, the subversion of expectation, I think now as an older person, or seeing this many times, I appreciate that stuff. I like that it didn't go where fans wanted it to. I think that's a better choice. I even remember around this time, Endgame came out a couple years later, and someone compared Fat Thor to old Luke, and how comparing how the heroes deal with failure and stuff.
Yeah.
2 different ways. Because people with Star Wars are fixed minds. I'm not going to convince my brother-in-laws or anything that this is actually a good movie. But I think that by challenging the traditional notions of heroism, which is what Luke is doing, and destiny, which is when they took away any idea of being related to someone famous is what makes you powerful, and the Force. I think The Last Jedi transformed Star Wars from a simple tale of good and evil, into like a meditation that you can think about these things, about failure and stuff.
Yeah.
I think this is also easily the most beautiful Star Wars movie, because I thought Force Awakens looked good, but I think this one just adds a whole layer of like artistic intent behind, basically. Maybe you don't disagree, but do you remember like Leia standing in the doorway on Crate, which is the salt planet? It's just like a beautiful shot there.
Yeah,
Holdo
it's got great shots.
ramming the thing, the Holdo maneuver.
That was
beautiful.
Yeah, I agree there.
And the idea of DJ being like, hey, there's good and bad. Like, there's, what does that even mean? Good guys, bad guys. It's like breaking down like traditional like Star Wars things. Yeah. And I think it expands the mythology. Like the Force projected thing that Luke does makes sense and is cool.
Oh, do people have problems with that?
No, people basically like that.
Oh, okay.
Leia flying through space with the Force, that is, I think is cool.
Leia that's been dead. That's
and Kylo
dead.
Being able to touch across galaxy, being connected, I think that's cool. All of these, because some people will be like, "That's not a Force power we've seen before.
That's more magic.
That's not a power established by canon." Stuff like that. I think it's good. I think
that's actually a good point. Like physically,
I think ultimately, The Last Jedi is the best, or one of the best. It's up there in my top 3, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Best Star Wars. One of the best Star Wars because it challenged the franchise to evolve, to let the past die. It wants you.
Didn't it kill the franchise?
Yes.
Oh.
Because.
So that was the evolution that you wanted?
Well.
The end.
No, I didn't want it to do what it did, because you could argue 9 is trying to fix all of these things that Last Jedi sets up, which is frustrating. Then you also get some of the TV shows still going on, like freaking Dave Filoni. All he knows how to do is... Dave Filoni, he was the guy behind the Clone Wars cartoon show. Okay. He's also the guy behind the Mandalorian live-action show and Ahsoka and like the Boba Fett show. And a lot of those are just like, hey, remember all these cool things? These are the cool things. It's like, maybe you gotta kill some of your fictional babies here, you know what I mean? It's okay to, Anyway, that's a whole other conversation we're never getting into because we're not watching the shows. No. Except for Andor?
No.
Okay. Andor's not by that guy. Anyway,
or Lord of the Rings, either.
Lord of the Rings is next.
No.
Anyway, so...
Can we do something else besides
what?
Lord of the Rings? Anything?
Lord of the Rings. Okay, so... I think Last Jedi is a special movie. And it's crazy they didn't make anything more after it. That's just kidding. Never mind. I don't like 9. I'm just telling. I don't even care. I don't like 9. 9's a big disappointment.
Yeah, I think we figured that out.
But 8 is what could have been, and the fans voiced their very loud opinion, and I guess we're listening to the fans. But it's beautiful. I think it's deep. I think it's interesting. It's The Last Jedi. Also, when the logo came out, it's called The Last Jedi. People were... All we had was the logo, and it was in red. That was like a new thing. Man, that Star Wars was so much fun back in the day. Everyone talking about it all the time. Anyway, we gotta wrap things up.
Okay. Yeah.
Next week, unless this is a two-parter, which it probably will because this is 2 hours right now.
Oh, wow. You cannot cut my rant about this.
What's about weird? This. He just stopped talking. I don't know. Anyway, next week, do you know what it's called?
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Which is interesting because he's dead.
Yeah. What did that mean?
Because he foofed.
Yeah. You know, this movie, I'll say this, I think it does nostalgia in an accurate way.
If you strike me down in anger. Where have we heard that? I will never...
But, okay, like, when Princess Leia hologram comes out, I don't think that's...
Princess Leia hologram?
Yeah, when he's like, Chewie, where's Han? And then it cuts to Kylo, but then we see Luke sneaking on the Death Star.
Oh, when R2-D2...
And R2-D2 shows...
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's a cheap trick. I think that's what nostalgia stuff should be like.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's because it's part of the story. It's
not Luke recycling the same line that Obi-Wan said to him to his apprentice.
Yeah.
No.
One last thing. What do you think of the porgs? The bird thingies? The porgs?
Oh, the stupid little gremlin-looking things?
Yeah, so when they filmed on the island...
To answer your question, I didn't like them at all, except for when Chewie was beating the crap out of them.
Let him eat them! Anyway,
yeah.
So those are endangered puffins when they were filming. And they kept them in The Force Awakens, but they're just birds in the background, basically. These endangered puffins. So this movie goes like, what if we just retroactively make them an alien thing? And the porgs were born. Porgs were everywhere. If in episode 7, it was BB-8 was the thing that everyone loved. BB-8's not really in this one so much. Also, I hate when he ties up the guards. See, that stuff just cut... I think they just gotta cut some of the... Anyway. But porgs were everywhere. There was one guy that got them tattooed on his body before the movie came out, and Ryan Johnson tweeted out, and I was like, did that guy like did that guy like Last Jedi? I hope so. He got it tattooed.
Yeah.
But porgs.
Oh, whatever.
Star Wars.
Cute stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing that we need to have a cute something.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Right, okay.
But they're also not, they're barely anything, so it's...
Right, I didn't care, really, other than when they're on the ship and Chewie was interacting with them. That was good, I liked that. But
they're like chewing the things, he's like, ah!
Yeah, I did like that. He bats them across the...
Anyway, I love The Last Jedi. It's okay if you don't. It's okay to be wrong. You know what I mean?
Okay if I don't, yeah.
Next
I will go on record saying I am a fan of Kylo Ren's character. I did not think I would be a fan of anything in these movies. So
he's a
great character.
I'm excited for you to see what they do with him
in the
next movie.
But
we'll get into that next time.
Okay. Anyhow, thank you for listening.
We love you.
We do love you.
Think critically.
Enjoy the 2-parter.
Did you like Last Jedi?
Me?
Not you, our audience.
Oh, yes. Did you like Last Jedi?
Email us at DesertOfRealPod.
Tell us what you think about the strategic excellence of the last scene.
That does not matter. Anyway.
It's so good.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.